Hey everyone, this is Pump, and I'm back with a video going over some tips, tricks, and understanding about Fire Mage and Dragonflight. This video will be split into three sections: class basics and understanding, general tips, and class specific tips. Let's get into the basic understanding of Fire Mage. So starting out with Fire, we need to understand two main core concepts about how Fire deals damage. Number one is whenever we crit with a spell, we start generating heating up, which means when we get a second crit, we have to crit again, then we get a hot streak going. And when we have a hot streak, we get a 0 time cast Pyroblast. And this is the core gameplay of how Fire Mage plays out. It's just constant critting, constant 0 time Pyroblasts until we get to our SKB at 8 casts of Pyroblast, in which case we hard cast our Pyroblast and get free time of Combust. The second thing to understand about Fire Mage is that all of our damage is within Combustion and our SKB proc that gives us Combustion. Outside of Combust, you will pretty much be doing tank damage. When we're in Combust, every spell we use is guaranteed to crit. Outside of Combustion, like if I randomly throw Phoenix Flames, I'm not guaranteed a crit here. I critted, but I'm not guaranteed to crit. See, like I didn't crit there. But while in Combustion, every single spell I throw crits. There is no guesswork. Scorch guaranteed crits even at high HP. Phoenix Flames is guaranteed crit. Everything is guaranteed to crit. So when we tie these two concepts together, our main goal is to just throw as many Pyroblasts as possible that are 0 cast. It builds up more combust up time through SKB, and when we're in our combust, Pyroblast is doing those big numbers and building up our big ignite. Moving on to our general tips to improve as a player. Number one is something that I think a lot of people overlook, and it's just simply hitting the training dummy. I probably have well over 1,000 hours on Fire Mage, and I still hit the training dummy before I do my dungeon sessions just about every day. On screen now, I'm going to do my simple combust rotation so you can compare your combust rotation to mine and see how you're doing. This is a very rough estimate because I'm very high gear, but if you wanted to compare yourself to me and see kind of where I'm at with my haste levels, you could do that now. Number two on this list is going to be making keybinds that feel natural to you. Fire Mage is one of those classes that takes a while to get used to, but when you get used to it, it becomes really fluid and feels like you're playing Osu or something. It feels fantastic to play on. Getting used to your keybinds and getting that muscle memory down of your combust is most of the learning stage. If you wanted a rough keybind setup, you could copy mine, but I would suggest feeling it out on your own. I don't have an MMO mouse, and I'm sure I would have set up my keybinds a lot differently if I did have an MMO mouse. The only thing I bound my mouse is combust so that I could do it on the left-hand side. But the rest of this, I only move with QWE, and some people would probably fall over dead in their chair if they played like that. I don't have backpedal bound, and instead I have S open, even though we don't play with Flame Strike anymore. But yeah, find some movement keys that you like and find keybinds that you like. My third and final general tip would be, even when you're comfortable with your rotation, you need to get in there and pug some keys and practice in raid. There are very few players in WoW that start out at the top of the top and are extremely talented. Everybody has to put in that hard work in the beginning to learn their class, and then you can start seeing that talent show. But you got to get out there and pug some keys. Don't be afraid to fail. Nobody's going to remember you in a key if you fail and oh, I went in there and bricked a key because I messed up my combust. Nobody's going to care. I can't remember anyone who's bricked my key, and I've probably seen hundreds of keys throughout my WoW career. So get out there and fail. You gotta fail before you get good. Moving on to our class specific tips. The first tip I have is something that can be easily overlooked when you're starting out. You want to always combust at the end of a cast, whether that's an SKB proc from Pyroblast, a hard cast Pyroblast because you're in raid and you have a pull timer, or your most common one is going to be starting with a Fireball. Combust is off of the GCD and you can use it at any time, even when you're casting a spell. So you want to always, always, always line it up with a cast, and you cast Combust near the end of a cast. This, and it's especially important in Season 1 because right now, one Combust rotation is just barely enough to get to your SKB proc without being Troll. If you're Troll, you could probably do this with ease, but the other races can struggle to reach that first SKB proc in their Combust window. So yeah, always Combust at the end of a cast. Number 2 is going to be something that even I struggle with to this day, and it's knowing when to hold cooldowns. In single target, this isn't as much of a concern. Like on a boss fight, you can kind of blow your cooldowns however you want. If the boss is like sub 10% HP, I wouldn't do it. But in AoE, you find yourself asking like, you have your combust coming up at like when the mobs are at 40% HP, and you're sitting there asking yourself, is it worth it to combust? And the answer is probably no in Fire's current state. We don't have as much upfront burst as we once did, as we're now a kind of big ramp class. We take a while before we do our big damage from our ignites. Yeah. I plan on making fire guides for every single dungeon in Dragonflight. No matter when you're watching this, keep an eye out for that and see if I've already posted them. The thought process behind when you use cooldowns is something that you'll always be asking yourself, unless if you get in there and practice. Up third is going to be Scorch Weaving. Scorch Weaving is really simple, but it's something that takes a while to build the muscle memory on. So when we're in our Combust and we use all our buttons, we have no more buttons to spend. You want to start filling with Scorch. Filling with Scorch can help you get to your SKB proc, and in its current state, unless you have really, really high haste, you likely will have to fill with a Scorch at the end just to get that last Pyroblast thrown out so you can reach that SKB proc. So, yeah. When you're out of buttons to press, fill with Scorch. At number 4, it's going to be always dropping Rune of Power before you use your SKB proc. Right now, you pretty much want to be holding Rune of Power strictly for your SKB go. Your Rune of Power uptime is still ending up pretty good if you just hold it for SKB. So always hold Rune of Power for when you have an SKB proc, so that we can be in Rune when we're in our Combust and everything lines up. Five is going to be that when we are hard casting a Pyro without heating up, we can instantly send out a Phoenix Flames and instantly get a crit if we're spamming Phoenix Flames. See, Phoenix Flames pretty much instantly went out there. And it also feels really, really good to instantly send out that Phoenix Flames, because it feels like you kind of cheated a spell, if that makes sense. So instantly throw out a Phoenix Flames in your SKB go when you're hard casting your Pyro. Number 6 is going to be Fire Blast management. Our whole entire class is kind of based around Fire Blast because it's a guaranteed crit. And if you're entering your Combust without many Fire Blast charges because you blew them all kind of without pacing, your class is going to feel a lot worse. So when you're entering your Combust, always try and be near max charges of Fire Blast so that you can have your full damage window in Combust. The last class-specific tip I can think of is dungeon-specific, but I only noticed it recently, and I think it's actually a pretty big DPS increase if you're able to manage it, and it's managing how many stacks of SKB you're at. So right now I'm at 6. Let's say this training dummy is actually like 10% HP. I could go to 7 stacks, kill off the mob, and I have 30 entire seconds to move to the next pack and be going in there pretty much essentially with an SKB proc. This is important because if I were to just blow this last or the 7th stack, I would enter my SKB proc. And when you have your SKB proc, you only have 15 seconds. So it is essentially a 15-second time gain to hold your stacks at 7 and just like spam Scorch or something and move into the new pack essentially with your Combust. I'll try. It's hard to explain it a little bit, but I'll have dungeon gameplay soon and I'll explain it then. That's going to do it for my tips and tricks video on Fire Mage. If you have any other questions, please leave them down in the comments down below, and I will answer them as soon as possible. Thanks, guys.